Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. In 3 days time I'll be going to Thailand, which is the Stampin' Up incentive trip for 2017. We were invited to join in with swaps if we wanted to. There are 2 swaps, one is for cards and the other one is for 3D projects. I've gone in for both of them, and this is the card that I made. By the time you're watching this video, the incentive trip will be over and everybody on the trip will have seen this card, which is why I'm okay to share it with you now. It's a very easy card, but I think it's very striking, and I just want to show you how I made it. So I'm going to start off with the cardstock. I'm going to stick to rose red, which is the colour that I've used here. And the cardstock you're going to need is the card base. I've used Shimmery White cardstock, and this measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, which is 21 by 14.5 centimetres. It's scored and folded in the middle. Then you need 2 pieces of the rose red cardstock. These measure 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is 10.25 by 14.25 centimetres. And then you need 2 pieces of Shimmery White cardstock, which measure 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 10 by 14 centimetres. And you also need a small scrap of rose red cardstock for the bow. So what we'll do first is the embossing. Now, the folder that we're going to be using is called Sweetheart, and what this is embossing around there, but the heart is flat, and it's that flat heart where I've done the stamping in there. So let me show you how I've done that. I'm going to put my cardstock into my embossing folder, and I'm going to line up as close to that bottom edge as I can without actually allowing myself to have any cardstock that doesn't have any embossing. I don't want to have a line across there with no embossing on. That's what I'm trying to say. And this is about level across there. So I'm going to put that in my Big Shot, which would be a good idea if I brought this over. I should have brought this over before I got all this lined up, but never mind. Right, what I'm going to be using is my new platform, the one that comes with the thin die adapter, but I'm not going to use this bit. So I'll put that on one side. All I'm using is this, which is the Big Shot platform. I'm going to put one cutting mat on there. I'm going to put the folder on here with the fold going in first, and then I'm going to put another cutting mat on top, and then just crank that through. There we go. Let's move this out of the way first. There we go. Isn't that lovely? I have done a video showing how you can get this kind of effect, but this is really so much easier. Right, okay, so now I want to stamp into here. When I first did this, I wasn't sure whether I should be doing the stamping first and then emboss around it. I was a little bit doubtful whether I would get ink on these bumpy bits. So it was only a question of trial and error. And I have to say, it works beautifully. Right, this is a stamp set that I've used. It's called Born to be Loved, and this is what I'm using. I've also used the Let's Celebrate that's on the inside of the card. I'm not going to do it quite like this for our card today, because I was very aware of the amount of time that I had and all the paper that I was using. So I've just done that. Let's Celebrate like that. The original plan was to have that on the front of the card, but when I tried it, it detracted from this. This is so clean and simple. I loved it like this, so I decided to put that on the middle, in the middle. Right, so I have set up my Stamp-a-ma-jig already, and this really does come into its own. I imagine you could probably do this if you've got a MISTI or something similar, a stamp placement thingamy. Right, so I think that looks straight. So I'm going to place my Stamp-a-ma-jig on top, move my template away, bring my stamp over, and my rose red ink. I normally say whichever one is bigger goes on top. For example, if the stamp is bigger, I put it on the top, or if the ink pad is bigger, I put that on the top. No, on the bottom, I mean. I have the bigger one on the bottom. Yes, normally the bigger one on the bottom, but I couldn't quite decide which one was the biggest out of these. But I find it's easier to have the stamp on the top. Right, now I'm just going to line my block into there and let it slide down onto the heart. Just press it. I don't go too hard on this because I'm very aware there are bumps from the embossing. But there we go. Absolutely perfect. Okay, you can see how it fits in with the flat bits in here. I think that is just so clever. I was really, really impressed. Now for the bow, that is from the Hollyberry Happiness stamp set, and I'm just using the outline stamp. I'm not using this one, which is it's the one that colours that in. I did try it with, in fact I've still got it on my desk here. I can show you what that looks like. Okay, because it comes up as you do that as two-step stamping, you can't do the middle the same dark colour, otherwise you just lose it, which is why I decided to use just the outline on the same colour cardstock as here. So I've actually got one left over, so I'm not going to do one, but I'm going to show you one little thing about this. You need just a scrap of the cardstock, but when you do this, take just a piece that's 1 inch wide, and the reason for that is on the punch, it's this one here that we're using. It's this punch, it's this punchy bit here, so you just want to slide that in so it goes to the bow only. If you have a big piece, you're going to waste whatever's up here. Okay, but as I say, I'm not doing it because I've got one left over there and I might as well use it. So to adhere this onto my card, I just use some Tombow. In fact, I think I was using that Tombow there, wasn't I? We'll soon find out. You can use fast fuse for this if you like. So press that down. Let's move that out of the way as well. So I'm going to adhere my card together. Again, I'm using Tombow. Fast fuse would work. But just make sure you use plenty of adhesive, as it is embossed cardstock. There we go. And then adhere this to the front of the card. There we go, so that's that. And then the inside of the card, I'm not going to do it like I've done on the swaps. I'm going to actually do it on here. So what I will do is decide where I want it to go, which I suppose, so we'll have this halfway across. So I know that on my grid paper that is halfway across this dark line, and I want it to come down to about here, I think. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares down. Oh, I could use this, couldn't I? There we go, that should keep me on the straight. Now again, I've used my Stamp-a-ma-jig, I've got that set up. Try not to move it. Make sure it's in the centre and straight, which I think that looks about it. Can I pull that out without moving cardstock? Yes, I think so. Right, bring my Stamp-a-ma-jig tool back in. Right, now I should be good to go. There's my stamp. It should be that way round. So again, just put the block in the corner and allow it to slide down. There we go. It's a bit low, but never mind. It's straight, methinks. Yes, beautifully straight. Well, that's all right, because it leaves space for personal messages, top and bottom. No, I don't want that one. Let's try this one. Right, let's get rid of that. Yes, that's all right. When I've put the card together, I just want to explain to you about if you have problems with your embossing folder. I do. Well, it's not problems with my embossing folder, it's my Big Shot, really. When I'm doing my dry embossing, I quite often find that I get little tears in the embossed areas. Doesn't happen with all of the folders, just some of them. But it's clearly my machine that does it, because when I go to class or something like that and I use embossing folders, they're fine. So there are some things that you can do to help yourself. First of all, I found, for me, it's less likely to happen if I'm using shimmery white paper. I mean, this is absolutely perfect. Right, just a moment, let me finish this bit first and then I'll go back onto that. Okay, so that's how you make that card. Really nice and easy, but it really is packs a wow, I think. I hope you like it too and hope you give it a try. Let me just go back to my embossing folder. The first thing I ever learnt about if you have problems like the splits on your embossing is to put some vellum inside your embossing folder, and that helps a lot, but it doesn't work consistently, it doesn't work all the time. So the other thing that I found is, apart from using a stronger paper here, I've also found, strangely enough, if I use two, just a moment, let's see if I can get them, two very well used cutting mats. When I was doing all, because we did 26, when I was doing all of these and I was having problems, this worked sometimes, didn't others, and then I thought, I wonder, because it's my machine, is it because the plates are too new? So I changed over to these, and this made a very big difference. As I started putting them through, they were coming through beautifully. So whether something's happened to my machine doing all of that, those many embossings, or whether it really is this, I don't know. But if you are having problems with your embossing folder like that, chances are it is your machine. Well, it's got to be your machine, because you know, Stampin' Up! Is selling thousands and thousands of these, and they're not getting thousands and thousands back. So it's obviously the machine, and the 2 ways I've told you will help you, 3 ways will help you to deal with this so that you get perfect results every time. And another way that I have heard that I haven't ever tried is you could put a kitchen towel between your sheets, but as I say, that's untested as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just going to bring this up close to the camera so that you can see that it really is a very good result, and not that I'm just winging it hoping that you can't see from the distance. You see, it's absolutely perfect, beautiful. Okay, so I hope those tips about your embossing help. If you have any questions about anything, please leave them in the comments box below the video, or email me at janb@janbcards. I'm very happy to help you anytime. If you would like to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, again, click on the link below and you'll find a link down there for my 24/7 online Stampin' Up! Shop. I'll be putting in the box below, everything goes in the box below, the measurements and the products that I've used. Underneath the video you'll find there are 2 down arrows. If you click the lower one, that's what opens up the box where you find all the information. And finally, if you've enjoyed my video and you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new one, which is normally on Wednesdays and Sundays, please click the subscribe button. That's about it for today. Many thanks for joining me. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.